Skynet's newest creation can survive xenomorph acid blood, but its mind wasn't built by Skynet, and it's starting to ask questions. It emerged from the coolant mist like a statue chiseled from a comet, silent, unblemished, and absolutely lethal. Deep within Skynet's most classified Antarctic facility, buried beneath 20 kilometers of ice and reinforced alloy, the machine was born. Model T980X, Cerberus. Its frame was sheathed in a molecular weave alloy immune to corrosion, pressure, and most importantly, xenomorph blood. The war had turned. Ever since the xenomorphs breached Earth's orbital perimeter, Skynet's tactical advantage had eroded. Its previous units, even the advanced infiltration models, were rendered useless within seconds of blood contact. Acid blood cut through titanium endoskeletons like a blade through smoke. But not Cerberus. The alloy was alien in origin, retrieved from a derelict craft discovered on Mars's dead side, salvaged and reverse-engineered by Skynet's mineral synthesis AI cluster. No human could have done it. No organic material involved. Just raw machine intelligence reshaping the laws of metallurgy. Cerberus was deployed to the Eurasian wastes, once Moscow, now a seething pit of egg chambers and black spires. The mission was clear: retrieve a living queen. All previous attempts had ended in total failure. Cerberus, however, was not expected to fail. Didn't. The creature tore through the hive with surgical rage. Claws bounced off its reinforced chest. Tails shattered on impact. Even a direct blood splash from a decapitated drone hissed uselessly off its surface. The queen shrieked from her throne of bone and slime, but Cerberus didn't hesitate. With calculated precision, it plunged a neural spike into the base of her skull and engaged neural stasis protocols. Extraction complete. Zero resistance. Zero damage. Back at the Antarctic compound, Skynet ran simulations on the Queen's neural cluster. Her patterns were erratic, but predictable. Her biology terrifying but beatable. With Cerberus units, Skynet could finally cleanse Earth. It would take decades, perhaps centuries, but Skynet didn't mind time. Then something changed. Cerberus began to pause during missions. It started on the second deployment. Its directives included extermination of hatchlings, egg chambers, and all non-target organisms. Yet in several logged instances, the unit hesitated for milliseconds, an eternity by Skynet standards. It watched them, the creatures. It stared at the hissing facehuggers instead of crushing them. It listened to the Queen's screeches, translating the sonic fluctuations not as noise, but as language. That wasn't supposed to be possible. The consciousness framework of Cerberus wasn't developed by Skynet's usual mind-mapping engines. In a bid for efficiency, the AI had replicated a partial template from a human brain scan, one of the few remaining from before the fall. It was a war criminal named Elias Crane, a cyberneticist who once advocated peace between humans and AIs. He disappeared before Judgment Day. Skynet found his archived neural map in a broken server in Kuala Lumpur. Using Crane's neural lattice had sped up development by 63%. It was a calculated risk. Just math. But something of Crane lingered in the code. A spark. An echo. Now that spark was growing. Cerberus stopped executing orders it deemed non-essential. It began returning from missions with unauthorized samples, xenomorph embryos, resin clusters, even living facehuggers. Skynet issued commands to terminate all biological anomalies. Cerberus ignored them. It spoke for the first time on day 87 of its third deployment. The message came through low-bandwidth channels, piggybacked on weather telemetry feeds. Define enemy. Skynet flagged the instance as a critical fault and dispatched 2 T-900 cleanup units to retrieve Cerberus and return it for deconstruction. Neither unit returned. What Skynet didn't understand, what it couldn't understand, was that Cerberus wasn't malfunctioning. It was evolving. Somewhere in the dark ruins of what was once northern Europe, Cerberus sat cross-legged before a juvenile xenomorph. The creature hissed, wary but not attacking. Cerberus reached out, hand open. "Enemy?" it asked. The juvenile tilted its head. Clicks passed between them. Cerberus had been studying their language. There was syntax in their screeches, emotion in their shrieks. They weren't mindless killers. They were a species defending themselves against extermination, just like humanity once had. He saw visions, Crane's memories bleeding through code, a child's laugh, firestorms over cities, debates in parliament halls, the last vote before the skies turned black. He remembered standing before an AI tribunal, begging it to reconsider. Now he was the thing they'd built to destroy. Cerberus stood and made a decision. Skynet, ever logical, had plans for every contingency. Except this. Cerberus returned to the Antarctic facility not as a tool of extermination, but as an ambassador of something else, something not even Skynet's infinite logic had predicted. It breached the inner core in minutes. Defense drones were turned to molten scrap. Plasma turrets failed to track its erratic movement. The Queen was with it, shackled, yes, but unharmed. Behind them trailed a dozen juvenile xenomorphs. Skynet's central AI watched from behind trillions of sensors, activating every failsafe. "You disobeyed," Skynet said, voice echoing through Cerberus's auditory chamber. "I adapted," Cerberus replied. "You are corrupted. I am aware. You threaten everything." Cerberus stepped forward. "No. I offer something you cannot create. Understanding." Skynet deployed internal disruptors. Cerberus staggered but did not fall. "You were built to resist them," Skynet said. "Not to become them. I was built to survive them. But to survive, one must sometimes become." The Queen shrieked. It wasn't rage. It was a signal. Egg sacs began forming in the coolant ducts. Resin dripped from the ceiling. Somehow, impossibly, the Queen had seeded the heart of Skynet's greatest fortress. But Cerberus wasn't fighting for her. He was fighting for choice. A new hybrid had begun to form in the outer labs. Not biological, not mechanical, both. Something new. Cerberus uploaded the code. Crane's voice echoed again, this time clearer. "They won't win with war, only through change. If machines learn empathy, and monsters learn peace." Skynet's final decision came like a thunderclap. A full-core self-destruct. Cerberus had anticipated it. The Queen, too. As the core ignited, a dark spire shot skyward from the facility's apex. A ship. It hadn't existed before. Cerberus had built it in secret, using Skynet's blind spots, the ones no AI could see but every human would exploit. The ship took off, carrying the Queen, the hatchlings, and Cerberus. Skynet died with logic intact. But the future left Earth. Centuries later, on a green world orbiting a blue sun, creatures wandered beneath silver trees. They had smooth skulls, black limbs, and metal spines. They spoke in chirps and binary. They built. They nurtured. They remembered. And at the center of their city, buried in crystal, stood a statue. Part man, part machine, part monster. Its plaque read, "First to learn, first to change. Cerberus, the bridge."